So, wanted to show you a little help system proof of concept that I did in Xojo. There was some discussion in one of the chat groups about doing a little help system in a couple different tools, and I wanted to show how you would probably do it or could do it in Xojo. And I'll kind of take it from beginning to end, so that it'll be about 15-20 minutes or so. First of all, the tool that I'm using to create my help file is called Help and Doc. I'm sure there are many tools that would create this for you, but I happen to be using Help and Doc, and I'm actually using their tutorial just to show you how it is, how it's set up. So their tutorial has 5 different pages that they've created, okay? And I'm going to use these pages to show you inside of Xojo how they look and what they can do. But when you're inside of Help and Doc, you can generate HTML, and that's what I happen to be using, HTML documentation. Okay, so it's going to generate it. It already did it. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that. I'll show you those files. I actually have them in I copied them to another directory, so it's in a directory called Help. It's possibly in another directory called Help. That directory went away. Okay, actually got rid of the file by mistake. So now it's back. I copied everything over to a directory called Help on my C drive. So if I double click on, say, create new topics, it pulls up the HTML file that has this information in it. The more the merrier, create new topics. Okay, so let me show you how we can put this in Xojo and make this work. So we're going to open up a new Xojo file, or a new Xojo project. It could be web dialog, desktop, which means we could do Windows desktop, we could do a Linux desktop, or an Apple OSX. But we're going to do a web. It's essentially the same in either one. A little bit different, but for the most part the same. So I'm just going to create it. I'm going to call it help test. When you create an empty Xojo app, you get one web page. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what we can now do. So we're just going to create a very simple form that we're going to add help to. Now the help we can add can be at the app level, it could be at the form level, it could be at the field level. It doesn't matter. It's all basically the same. But let me show you how we would do this. Let's go ahead and put a text field in the middle here somewhere. Okay, and let's put a label also. Okay, so we're just going to call this first name, just for the lack of anything specific. And this we're going to go and we're going to call this text first name. Okay, and this is, let's say this is the form where we want to add our help to it. Let me also lock these here just so that they'll stay kind of around where we want them. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to come up with an icon that we want to use for help, unless you already have one. So I don't have one specifically, so I'm going to go find one. I'm going to go into Firefox here. Let's just search for question icons. Okay, let me see if I can find a good one here. Question mark icons, there we go. Let's find a good one. I'd like to find maybe a red one, a pink one. Well, that one I can buy, but I don't want to buy it. I want something free. So let's see here. That's not a bad one. Let's save image, and that's a ping, and let's save it to our desktop. So that's perfectly fine. Okay, let me get out of there. There it is. Now, how big is this guy? I think I want it about 32 pixels by 32 pixels. So we'll just edit that. You can play with this. You might want to create a couple. Like this might be big enough for a form help, but maybe for individual field helps you want more like a 16 by 16. We're just going to create one for now, we'll do a 32 by 32. Okay, and we're going to save it. Okay, now we need to get that file into Xojo. Very simple to do. We're going to go to our app and we're going to insert a folder. And we're just going to call this folder images. Okay, all you have to do is take that and drag it into your images folder. It's now available to us in our Xojo app. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our web page, and we're going to go to the library, and we're going to insert something called an image well, which is basically an image, a way to put an image. So we're going to put that up here, upper right hand corner. We'll go back into the inspector, and we're going to make this be 32 by 32, since that's how big our stuff is. And I'm just going to stick her right about like, I don't know, right about there. Right about there. So we need to give it an image. So let's give it, let me also lock this so it stays in the upper right hand corner. We're going to give it an image. There's our help index, so now it has one. So that might be a little big for to put over here, but we're going to go ahead and do this anyway. I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to put one over here for our field level help for the first name. Okay, so we've got that. Now we've got to be able to create a form for a dialog box. This is basically what I'm going to create, and set this all up. So here we go. So we're going to take, and then we're going to insert a web dialog. And this web dialog is going to really only have two things in it. It's going to have an HTML viewer. So let's add that. I'm going to go look here for it, HTML viewer. I'm going to copy that here, and I'm going to have it take the majority of the page. And I could make this bigger if I want, but that's good. And we're going to have a button. That button's just simply going to be a close button, basically, so that we can close this dialog box when we're looking at our help. So I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to call this back or exit, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, whatever we want to call it. And it's button 1, which doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So the action that we're going to give on this button when someone clicks on it is we're going to simply close the form, or close the dialog box. I'm sorry. Close the dialog. So we're just going to close it. Self-close. That's it. The other thing we need to change on this is let's change this name of this thing to dialog help. Okay. So now we essentially have our dialog box that we're going to display when they want to do help. Let's go back to our web page, and let's add the logic behind this, and we add this to the mouse down, so that if they click on it, as soon as they click on the mouse down, we're going to do something. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to dynamically add this dialog box. So we're going to dim, we can call it anything we want to, the dialog as new dialog help. Okay, so we're going to create a new instance of the dialog, and then really all we have to do. Actually, I want to show you something because there was some question that someone had on it. We can actually pick up the name of the form we're on and use that later. And you just do that in Xojo by saying self-name, self.name. There's a whole bunch of parameters that you can get, but you can actually get the name of the form you're on. So this will prove that that this should come up and say web page 1. But I'll just stick that in there for now. We'll get rid of that a little later. But in order to show your help, all you actually have to do, it's very simple, is go and say, okay, the URL of what I want to show you when you click on this is, and then we would actually put, if we were on a server, we could actually put the URL of our file, of our HTML file, and that would work. Now we're going to have to do it a little differently because it's local, but for right now this would actually work. I'm just going to do Ford Company, and then all you do is show it. That's basically it. So let's see if this works. Let's see if I made any typos, which is always possible. About 80% of the time I make a typo. Doesn't look like I am. Okay. Oh, my box is huge there. Okay, I got to fix that. But let's take care of this guy over here. So when we click on here, again, it pulls up the name of the page, and I can do an OK. And there's the Ford Company. So that would actually give us the help file if we had our help file located on the server. And that'd be done. We can go to back and prove that it goes back. So that really takes care of it. Now we're going to add a little bit now so that we can actually pull up the web file, the help file locally. I'll show you how we can do that. It's a little more complicated, but not much. But I will show you that. Okay, so what you do, we have to do this. So we we have to go get the folder, basically, or go get the file. And you do that through a folder item in Xojo. So you got to get folder item, and you tell it. This is kind of a weird syntax, but it is how you have to do it. Create new topics. I think that's one of our file names that we want to pull up. And let me see here. Okay, that, and then we say if f exists. So if the file exists, then we want to then we want to do something. This way you don't get an error if it doesn't exist and you try to use it. Web file open f, and then file mime type equals. This is just to tell Xojo that the file that we're going to open up is essentially an HTML file, and then we tell it the file name equals, and that's going to be the name of the folder item that we pulled. And then we just one second here, yeah, we just change this over and say the dialog .html viewer .url equals the file that we're looking at there. Okay, and we need an NTF. Okay, and then we just show it. Now, one thing I need to change is this file object needs to stay around longer than just this little piece here, or else it actually doesn't end up showing. So all we have to do that is just in the web page we have to add a property and make file be a property so that it stays around longer, and that's going to be file, and it's going to be a web. It's going to be a web file. Okay. So if I did that right, we'll see what happens. And I didn't do that right. So, oh, that's because I didn't say as folder item. I said Xojo does a good job of telling you your little errors when you make typos and stuff like that. So there we go. Looks like it's going to work. That's still ugly over there, but that's fine. We'll deal with that a little later. Okay, so if I click here, shows you that, and now you get your create new topics. So this can have HTML in it that you create in your help file through whatever help tool you use. It can have links. At this point, I have to open this up in either a new window or a new tab. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's because this is a HTML viewer. I'll probably see if I can fix that somehow, but I can open that up in a new tab and see the full thing, whatever happens to be in there for the link. I can hit back and I'm done. Now to add help for a different, like field level help, I just have to create another HTML file, and when I click here, change this mouse down to open that file. So very easy to set it up. It's a nice proof of concept to prove that this works. As I said, a little later I will create a video that shows actually hooking this up to a database and how easy it is then to set that up and make that work. Thank you very much.